Oh, hi there. Welcome to BSF Recovery Team and the second half of our California desert adventure. First, let me apologize to any of you Californians out there who might have caught my mistake. I said Bakersfield when I meant Barstow. Calico is near Barstow, and we were making a run from Calico to Primm, Nevada. We left off on our last video just after I climbed into the CanAm for the second half of our run to Primm. And while the CanAm ride started out a little bit slow, it wasn't long before Mike had it cranked up. We're zipping along through the desert here, somewhere between 60 and 70 miles per hour. But we had to slow down again because we saw something in the road in front of us. Another strange sight out here in the California desert. We couldn't quite figure out what they were doing out here with such a big load of hay. But as we passed them by, we asked if they needed any help, and they said no. So we went on by, and it didn't take long for Mike to get that CanAm back up to speed. Mike cranked it up over 60 again, and we were leaving everybody in the dust. Even though it was hard for me to hold the camera steady when we were doing these aerial shots for you on the stick, the ride seemed pretty smooth to me inside the CanAm. I was really impressed with the suspension on this machine. Check these shots out. We had a long way to go before the last set of mountains that we had to go up and over to get into Primm. But when you're running across the desert at freeway speeds, it doesn't really take that long to get there. When we got to the mountains, we had to slow down quite a bit, mostly because the trail up to the 5,000 or 6,000 foot elevation to get over the top was quite a bit rougher. I was told we could judge the elevation by the fact that there were juniper trees growing near the top, and they start growing at about 5,000 to 6,000 feet. Once we made it up over the top, we could see Primm off in the distance and headed down the other side. We made it to the parking lot of the casino that we were staying at in Primm, Nevada, but not before we ran out of gas, just a little bit before the Nevada border. Well, we were smart enough to bring gas with us, but it wasn't in the CanAm, so we had to wait for the rest of the group to catch up, which was fine because then we all pulled into the casino together. We checked into the hotel for the night, had a good meal, did a little gambling, a little partying, but for the most part it was an early night. We were tired from that desert run. Well, we spent the night at the casino, and while we were here, everybody else showed up. Get a load of all these ATVs. Anyway, it's early morning. We got about 100 miles to head back, so we're going to get an early start. As soon as we got out into the desert, Mike throttled up that Maverick, and we left Primm and everybody else in the dust. We thought we were the first group to leave Primm, but on the way to the first set of mountains outside of Primm, we came across a couple of other ATVs on the side of the trail. At first, we thought maybe they were having trouble, but they waved us on by, so we kept going. We had left Primm early enough in the morning that when we climbed up over the first set of mountains, the sun hadn't really warmed it up yet, and it was actually a little bit chilly. Downright cold if you asked any of the Californians. Here you can see how far ahead of the rest of the group we were. Yes, that's the rest of our group down there. When we got up over the top and to the other side, we decided to pull over and let everybody else catch up. You know, to make sure they made it over the top.
70? Nah, 60, 65.
That's still pretty fast in the desert.
Yeah, I didn't take it over 65.
There's gonna be
I'm saving gas
today.
Everybody's hungover today, hungover, cold, and are gonna want to get back. People are gonna crash.
Well, we wanted to get back too, so we didn't stand around very long. We jumped back in and got back on the move right away. And yet again, we left the rest of our group eating dust. Most of the time, Mike kept up a pretty fast pace, but there was a few times when we had to slow down a little bit for the occasional washout that we needed to avoid. And for some of the rougher washboard sand washes. There was even one washout in particular that Mike forgot was there. Fortunately, he was going slow enough that he could stop, which was a good thing because there was a rusted and broken culvert in the bottom of it. That could have made for a real nasty crash. So, when we backed up to go around, we waited for the rest of our group to catch up. That way, they would see us going around and follow. Even with a few rough bumps, I'd have to say this was quite an adventure and a very fun ride through the desert. Then, before you knew it, our ride was coming to an end. Highway 15 was in sight, and just around the corner was 20 Mule Canyon. Thanks for watching, BSF Recovery Team, and I want to give a big shout out thanks to my relatives and friends that made this adventure possible. Starting on the left is my stepbrother Tim Moore. Next to him, friend Randy. Then Tim's daughter, Timmy. You can see baby seat cover, myself, and seat cover in the middle. Then on the right is friend Mike and my mom.